Hello everybody. Okay, this is part 2 of Who Rules the World, and I think this will be a very interesting exercise which can help us set the scene for some of the other things that we are going to be discussing. If you're new to this channel, it's basically an astrology channel, but it's also all about talking about geopolitics, movers and shakers in the world, social trends, the way in which society is evolving and moving. And in order to give context to all these things, it's important to know who the real power brokers are in this world, so that we're looking for the right sort of clues when we are trying to interpret the planetary movements and where things could be heading. So we are going to have a look at this now. Let's just hop over. So if you go to Yahoo Finance, and then we're going to type in some of the biggest companies of the world and see what we find. So the very first one we've got here is, let me just get back to the beginning here to see what we've got here. We've got Amazon. And when we look at the top institutional shareholders, which you see right here, what do we get? Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, T. Rowe Price, and FMR. So this is a great example to start with, because as we go through these companies, which I'm going to flick through, you're going to be seeing those 5 names and maybe 1 or 2 others reoccurring constantly every time we plug in a company. So let's go to the next one. So we started with Amazon, and there you've got Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, T. Rowe Price, FMC. Let's go for the next one. This time we've got General Electric. And what have we got here? Top institutional shareholders, T. Rowe Price, top one this time. Then Vanguard, BlackRock, Fiduciary, FMR, and State Street. Interesting. So we've got exactly the same 5. Let's do our next company here. General Motors, and you'll find the same names. This time it's BlackRock, top of the list with 7.38%, Vanguard 6.29%, and there you've got Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company, and he's at 5.03%. Now, because these institutional holders, they may not hold a controlling stake, but we're going to see how they work together, and because they're holding between 7 to 6% each, and it's collecting up to about 35%, you can see how powerful these particular companies are in terms of every top company, particularly in the US. Okay, let's do our next one, which is Apple. In terms of Apple, there you go. Vanguard's number 1. Let me get it there. Vanguard's number 1, BlackRock number 2, Berkshire Hathaway, it's Warren Buffett, Fiduciary number 3. Okay, so again, we've got the same pattern emerging. Now we go to Foxconn, which make the components of Apple, I think. And there we see again, number 1, Vanguard. These are the mutual fund holders this time. Often when you look at mutual fund holders, you're finding the same people, Vanguard and Vanguard again. Next one, 21st Century Fox. And we have Vanguard, number 1, T. Rowe Price 2, BlackRock. And there you've got Morgan Stanley and State Street coming in with 3% and nearly 3% as well, the holding. Next company, I've just done a selection of these to give you the idea. You can look yourself. There you go. Comcast, America's biggest telecommunications media company. And there you've got again Vanguard, number 1, 8.5%, BlackRock nearly 7%, State Street's in there. Wellington, this Wellington's rather interesting. That's closely connected to Blackstone, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a thing on Wellington. But that's a private, private company. Next one, we've got Boeing, and the same for Boeing. We've got number 1 is Newport Trust, slightly new one, but there you go again. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Morgan Stanley, a little bit further down. You can easily check ones that I've missed. Rio Tinto, that's a big mining company, very important. There you've got a few different ones, but Goldman Sachs further down. So a little bit different for Rio Tinto. That's on the London Stock Exchange. Some of the London ones were a little bit different. Johnson & Johnson, of course, pharmaceuticals. There you go, number 1, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street again. There's Wellington in there. If you look on Yahoo Finance and you just put in any company name, there's Pfizer. Let's have a look at Pfizer. institutional show. Oh, what a surprise! It's Vanguard again. Then BlackRock, State Street. I mean, it's the same thing all the time. You'll find Norges Bank investment there quite often as well, but it's one of the smaller ones, investors. Let's see what we have next. Alphabet, that's Google. And there you go, number one is a Vanguard, BlackRock, T. Rowe Price, State Street, and FMR. Well, the suspects that we're actually looking for, all of them are there. Northrop Grumman, that's a big aerospace working out in New York, Northrop Grumman, and number one, State Street, Vanguard, number three, BlackRock, and number four, Wellington's in there again. So do you see this pattern, what we're looking at here? It's the same names over and over. Raytheon, again, defense contractor, and number one, Vanguard, two, State Street, three, BlackRock, for Wellington, which is, there's no information on that because that's private, so we don't even know who owns that. Now there you go, Alibaba. It's like a Chinese company, right? We're told. So who owns Alibaba, the Chinese company? Who are the major institutional shareholders? Oh, what a surprise. It's BlackRock, Larry Fink of BlackRock, who incidentally is part of the Council of Foreign Relations, and he's going to be taking care of, Trump put him in charge of the Treasury, didn't he, along with Mnuchin, and he is going to be taking care of something else in America shortly. T. Rowe Price, State Street in there again. Let's see what we've got here. And Facebook, gosh, guys, I wonder who it's going to be. Oh, God, what a surprise again, hey? Vanguard, BlackRock, FMR. So T. Rowe Price and State Street. I will look at some of these companies afterwards. Moderna, of course. Let's linger on Moderna because there's something interesting here. Moderna, of course, Bill Gates, Fauci. There we have Vanguard at number three, BlackRock at four, State Street and FMR. And down here we've got the Leamy Partners. And you in the UK will know, I chatted before, that this is the hedge fund of Rishi Sunak. So our Chancellor's hedge fund, heavily involved in Moderna. Yeah, couldn't really make this stuff up, could you? And then we go for Sony Group as well. And we've got fiduciaries at number three, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, FMR. Slightly different makeup on this one. No Vanguard. Oh my gosh, how can you believe it? And let's see if we've got one more. And then I want to check who owns. Oh, Microsoft. Let's have a look at Microsoft, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. It's the same biggest institutional shareholders and T. Rowe Price. So what we're going to have a look at here is, let's put in Vanguard and see what it says for them. I think that's Vanguard. I see they've got quite a Vanguard Group. Okay. ARD Group. I've spelled that wrong. There's nothing on Vanguard Group. Let us rather look at BlackRock and check what it says for them. Well, BlackRock. Oh wow. Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street. Interesting. Bank of America. So BlackRock, Wellington Management, you see there, and there again it's FMR LLC again. Let's check this FMR. And we're not going to find anything on there. So we've looked at BlackRock. Let's look at State Street and see who is involved with State Street. And once again, it's Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, and T. Rowe Price and FMR LLC. Let's have a look at old T. Rowe Price. So what I'm doing here is just trying to give you an idea of the concentration of power. I think. No results on T. Rowe Price, fantastic. And let's see, I think we've checked out State Street, so we've been through most of them. All you do is go to Yahoo Finance, plug in any company you want to know, and then check holdings. And you can go through it in exactly the same way I have. And it's very enlightening to see, because when I go through some of the other materials, we're going to look and see who is behind these particular companies. So BlackRock, of course, the key people are Larry Fink and Bob Capito, who went to Harvard. In State Street, the key people, I didn't find any particular information on key people, but it's based in Boston. So a lot of these companies are not based where you might expect them, like New York, or that State Street's Boston. And you've got T. Rowe Price, which is in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, Baltimore is a key place that came up time and time again for generating these important, powerful figures that go on to kind of dominate finance and control. Key person there was William Stromsberg from Johns Hopkins University. Now, Johns Hopkins University, as we know, it's central to all the modeling for the whole thing that we're going through right now. So it's key to the control mechanism. In terms of Vanguard, that operates out of Pennsylvania. So again, not the usual places you'd expect, like maybe New York, Chicago. Mortimer Buckley is the key person there, also out of Harvard. What I'm really interested in is I've seen key people tend to come out of Yale, but a lot of the key people when it comes to these companies coming out of Harvard. Just mentioned there Berkshire Hathaway. We didn't see that coming up too many times. That's Warren Buffett. That operates out of Omaha, Nebraska, which again, not the usual places. And FMR operates out of Boston. Their key person there's Abigail Johnson from, again, Harvard Business School. So let's keep this little exercise in mind as we go forward and think about who rules the world.